Hello student, most welcome to all in our RP classes. Student, today I am going to start chapter 2 from main textbook Hornbill of class 11th. Student, I want to tell you that today I am not going to explain this chapter thoroughly. Now, I am just going to summarize the whole chapter. Therefore, be careful while watching this video so that you can note down some important characters, events and dates of happening. Let's start this chapter. Chapter 2. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. This chapter is written by Jordan Cook and Alan East. This story is based on sea adventure. Okay, so now I am going to start the summary of this chapter. Listen very carefully. It was July 1978. The narrator, his wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6 years old, and daughter Suzanne, 7 years, set sail from Plymouth to England. They wanted to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. For the last 16 years, they had spent all their leisure time in sharpening their seafaring skills. Their boat, Baywalker, had been professionally built. It had been tested in the roughest weather for months. Now, the first leg of journey started. The first leg of their planned 3 years, 1,05,000 kilometer journey passed pleasantly. They took on 2 crewmen, American Larry Bizzle and Swiss Hub Sizzler. They were to help them tackle one of the roughest seas, the Southern Ocean. They sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. They were heading towards the east. For the next few weeks, they encountered strong gales. They blew continuously. The size of the waves was alarming. They went up to 15 meters as high as their main mast. They celebrated the Christmas in spite of rough weather. The weather continued to be bad even on the New Year's Day. On journey 2, the waves were really huge. Endless big waves came rolling toward them. The wind simply screamed. So narrator thought that he slowed down the boat. They dropped the storm jib. They tied heavy ropes across the stern. They attached lifelines, put on oilskins and life jackets. The first sign of coming disaster came at about 6 p.m. The wind dropped, the sky grew dark. Then came a growing roar that changed into a thunder. A tremendous explosion took place. It shook the deck of the boat. A wall of green and white water broke over the ship. So, narrator's hand crushed into the wheel. He accepted his approaching death He was losing consciousness but felt quite peaceful. His head popped out of the water. A few meters away, Babe Walker was near capsizing. Babe tossed him around the deck like a rag doll. His left rib cracked. His mouth was filled with blood and broken teeth. Suddenly, the front door was thrown open and his wife Mary appeared. She cried, "We are sinking!" Larry and Herb were pumping like madmen. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys lay scattered in the deep water. He crawled into the children's cabin. They were safe. Only Sue had a big bump above her eyes. At that time, the narrator had no time for bumped heel. Now the narrator had time, so he went to the children to comfort them. Then Jonathan asked, "Daddy, are we going to die?" His father tried to assure him that they would make it. Jonathan went on, "We are not afraid of dying if we can all be together." The narrator was speechless. That evening, Mary and he sat together, holding hands. They both felt that their end was very near. Now, the Babe Walker rode out of the storm. The wind is by the morning of January 6. The narrator rechecked his own calculations. They were somewhere in 105,000 kilometers of ocean, looking for a 65 kilometers wide island. If they were lucky, they could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. When he woke up, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark. He knew they must have missed the island. But his son Jonathan seemed quite excited and happy. He wanted to hug his father. He asked his father if he could hug him. Sue was right behind him. When the narrator asked him why, he told him that he was the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain. He cried that they had found the island. The narrator rushed to the deck and saw by morning on January 3. The pump kept the water level quite under control. They could take rest for 2 hours in rotation, but there was still a big leak below the waterline. The boat-ribs frame was smashed. They had survived for 15 hours since the waves hit them. But Babe Walker couldn't hold together long enough for them to reach Australia. The narrator checked their charts. He calculated that there were 2 small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east. One of them, island Amsterdam, was a French scientific base. The only aim was to reach there. So, however, the great wave had put the auxiliary engine out of action. On January 4, the water level could be contained. They couldn't set any sail on the mainmast. However, they hoisted the storm jib and headed for the two islands. They ate their first meal in almost 2 days, but their respite was short-lived. At 4 p.m., black clouds were building up behind them. Building up behind them. Within the hours, the wind was back to 40 knots speed. 40 knots. The seas were getting higher. The weather remained rough throughout the night. By dawn on January 5, the situation remained desperate. Now the narrator rushed to the deck and saw island Amsterdam before his own eye. So they anchored offshore for the night. The next morning, all 28 inhabitants of the island came to cheer them. So this is the happy ending. So thank you, students. Now I hope that all of you must have understood this chapter well by now. You will also get the PDF of this chapter from the PDF collection for the purpose of making notes. Thank you.